Saint Maude is a twisted little portrait of loneliness, a horror film that doesn't dare overstay its welcome and delivers an interesting delve into a traumatized individual and vanishes before the suffering on display becomes unbearable to witness. It completely embraces the genre it inhabits without looking down on it, a rare thing to see from an A24 horror film. It's a vicious onslaught of visual and audio terror, but doesn't get lost in that horror and become overly cruel. It's a piece that looks at the intersection of self-harm, trauma, and the things we turn to subside pain. This is, of course, through the lens of a horror film, and with that comes a bit of distortion of reality. Maude is someone who's at a very troubled place in her life, someone who, after the accidental killing of a patient, is imbued with immense guilt, loneliness, and delusions. She turns almost immediately to religion after the inciting incident, something that often happens when people have a brush with death or experience a life-changing event. They walk down the path of faith as a way to find answers, forgiveness, and perhaps a reassurance that it was all part of some grand design, that everything will be okay. Of course, we know that Maude doesn't find any solace, only pain with her delve into faith. It seems that the inciting incident has caused her to push away everyone she knew, as they all served as a reminder of what she did. The only thing that keeps her from being completely alone is the voice in her head. She thinks this is the voice of God, but later it becomes apparent it's just her guilt speaking to her. Her reinvention into a twisted distortion of a person of faith is rooted in all the wrong places. One shouldn't wish to achieve sainthood, as that's something that by its very nature implies that it's not something that can be sought, but given. But she can't help to aspire to that title, as to her, that would be the only way that she could seek redemption and would also give her a sense of importance in her life. Her practice of faith is almost medieval in execution. She turns to self-harm as a way for forgiveness. You know the Mother Teresa school of thought, where with immense suffering comes a closer presence to God. This harm, while based on outdated religious practices, also lets us in on Maude's psyche, as in our society, men tend to externalize their depression and loneliness by committing outward acts of violence, while women tend to turn to self-harm, something Maude often indulges in. As soon as she starts her journey, she begins to have these hallucinations and convulsions that somehow seem both religious and sexual in nature. Whenever she feels like she has committed a sin or takes a step towards her sainthood, she starts to experience these hallucinations. Maude wishes to save her client, as that would relieve her of the burden of guilt she carries. She's unable to, as this was always a foolish endeavor, as her soul didn't need to be saved. That woman makes her question her faith, so she starts to view her as a demon. She commits an act that she views as bringing her closer to God, which is, of course, behind the veil of insanity, just a cold murder. After this horrid act is committed, she does the last task that she believes will grant her sainthood, an entrance to the kingdom of God. Maude thinks she must give herself to the Lord as a burnt offering. Its ending is one of the most memorable from a horror film that I've seen in years. It shows Maude at the pinnacle of her delusions before viciously throwing us back to reality. It removes any ambiguity, robbing the hope that maybe she was enacting this grand vision for the Lord. She's just a depressed individual that was looking for forgiveness and a way out of the loneliness that has followed her since she was traumatized. She gets the attention and acknowledgement that she craves before the heat burns away the false reality she's been in. It's a cruel fate that the director doesn't attempt to gloss up, and because of that, we can't help but feel disturbed and immense empathy for Maude. Do you agree with my explanation of Saint Maude? Comment down below if you do or don't.